Welcome back, everybody. Stephen Shamus. Take a break with Stephen.
Alex, welcome back. Great to see you. We're still on the air. I say that every week, but I don't take it lightly. I take a lot of pride in the fact that we're still here, we're still doing it, and the fans seem to enjoy it. So welcome back.
Yes.
So what are we talking about today, Alex?
We're gonna have a fun episode about second prints.
Oh yeah. Trying to order those. Go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, some of those are everybody thinks second prints and they're like, whatever. I only want the first print. That's the book that matters. But some of these second prints are going cuckoo bananas right now.
Yeah. With today's variant covers and how they're doing them and how they're soliciting them, and Marvel and DC are getting much, much smarter about it. These books are, in some cases, are becoming even more collectible because of the covers than the first prints, which may not depict the characters that you want to see on these appearances.
Yeah. We've been talking about these a little bit here and there, but let's really get into second prints of comics.
Yeah, we're not going to repeat any stuff that we've already talked about.
Right.
So for those out there who have listened to the prior shows, we're not going to repeat anything. If you feel like we've missed something, either from the private show or this show, of something that went over our heads, feel free to reach out to us, out there, and let us know if we've missed anything. But we want to focus on a bunch of different ones today that we really feel are standouts, something that is above and beyond the normal. Hey, there's a new cover, new print, new whatever. So first one I want to talk about is Amazing Spider-Man number 569. Eddie Brock becomes the anti-Venom.
Mm-hmm.
That book, the second print on that book, is just extremely rare in high grades. Now, remember, these books are selling out as they're coming out. And Alex, you've given sort of the example how the store sells out and they're ordering, and while the other books are still on the shelf. So we already know the second print runs are significantly lower. We get that. A lot of times you don't know the covers when you're ordering second prints, right? They're like, oh, it's a new cover by so-and-so. Like, the second prints are not like the first prints where they give you the covers.
Yeah, correct.
Anyway, that book has struck home very, very well.
Yes.
And there are 127 blue label 9.8s, 15 gold label 9.8s, and that book is a $600 book. So so Eddie Brock becomes the anti-Venom. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the symbiote and the Venom and Carnage and all the other symbiotes, things go crazy, right? I mean, you're looking at Venom at this point getting to Flash Thompson, who had lost his legs in the war, and he becomes the new Venom, and that's a whole nother series and story arc and everything. But this anti-Venom, I mean, Eddie Brock is everybody loves Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock will always be Venom, and he'll always be the main character. This helped bring him kind of back around as another big lead character. And then this cover, I mean, like you said, this is a brand new cover. It's the picture of anti-Venom. That's why people wanted it. It's not the same book, same cover. It's a brand new art, brand new cover. I mean, that's what makes this kind of like a better than the first print book.
Yeah, I think when they're doing the solicitations, they're not necessarily sure, right? So they have the standard Spider-Man cover or Venom cover. Then all of a sudden, everyone loves the character, and they're like, oh, we have a second print. Let's put the character on the second print. We've seen this time and again.
Yeah.
And then the second print has this dynamic cover, which is better than the first print cover.
Yeah.
And then everybody wants a second print cover, but it's already gone and sold out, and see you later, goodbye, one print run, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. The next one is Amazing Spider-Man number 654, second print. CGC 9.8s, there are 32 blue label 9.8s, 5 gold label 9.8s. Are you sitting down? 1,600. Yeah, you actually I could see you sitting down, actually. $1,600, Alex.
Wow.
It is the crazy. First Agent Venom, Flash Thompson becomes Venom.
Yeah.
So you were just talking a little bit about that. Why is that book $1,600?
Again, it's low print run. I believe the 654 first printing, it wasn't a high print run to begin with. And then you get something like this, which Flash Thompson becomes Venom, which is a pretty big book. And he stays Venom for a very long time in the Marvel Universe and is a very big character. I believe he goes to space. Like, there's a lot of stuff that use Flash as Venom. And that's a big deal. Flash Thompson's been in the comic books, in the Spider-Man comic books, since I think the first 5. I don't even know. He might have even been in Amazing Fantasy 15. But, this is a book that modern Spider-Man fans clamored for after the fact.
Yeah, unbelievable, right? I mean, $1,600. I mean, that's a big ticket.
No.
The next cover I really enjoy. It's Avenging Spider-Man #9 from 2012. It's the first appearance of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the book that everybody, when Marvel announced that they were doing Captain Marvel, that's the book that everybody wanted.
Yep.
She's with Spider-Man on the cover. What's great about that cover, too, is a lot of times when they have these first appearances, or they have Captain America versus Wolverine, or they have these dynamic covers, those characters have never met in the films, right? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, where it's like, oh, you have the, Hawkeye, with the arrow and Ant-Man is on it, and you saw that in the film. A lot of times you're like, oh, that's a Cap Wolverine cover. Wow, that would have been unbelievable if you could have Chris Evans and Hugh Jackman together, right? But you did have Captain Marvel and Spider-Man appear together in the film. So that I think that actually does matter.
Yes.
And they did the second print sketch cover, and it's just a very striking cover.
Yeah.
There are only 15 blue label 9.8s, 4 yellow label 9.8s, and they're just none for sale. Like, you can't find one.
Yeah.
So it's one of those cool books. Also, I did see a couple of them get signed at ACE Chicago.
Yeah.
When both Brie Larson and Tom Holland were there. Brie never does events. She only did that one event. So whatever you got signed to that show, that's what's going to be signed by Brie, because no one else is going to have a CGC Signature Series copy of that book. And because it's the black and white, any color that you sign on it will really stand out.
Yeah.
Will really pop. That's what I like about the sketch covers, because when you get them signed, whatever marker you use is going to stand out big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really a very, very popular book. The next one is Batman 457 from 1990. The second print, first Tim Drake as Robin.
Yep.
Talk about that storyline and Tim Drake becoming Robin, because that was a big deal at the time.
Yeah, I mean, there was, at this point, there had been 2 Robins, Dick Grayson, who is now Nightwing, and then the death of the second Robin, the Jason Todd, who'd been dead for a little while. Tim Drake as a character was a little different than all the other Robins. He had a family. He was well off. He figured out who Batman was. He is a detective. Before Batman even knew who he was, before he brought him under as his protege, Tim Drake figured out Batman was Bruce Wayne. That was a big deal. This kid figured this thing out. When you think of like Dick Grayson as your all around fighting and a little bit of detective, and then you look at Jason Todd, who was a big fighter. Tim Drake was the detective part, the smart kid. This book and the first prints are pretty easy to find. They're not hard to find. Tim Drake had been in the comics for a while, but this is the first time he actually put on a Robin costume and went out to be Robin. But these second prints and subsequent printings are extremely tough to find.
Yeah, for sure. So that book sells for $850.
Yeah.
There are only 12 blue labels and 0 gold. You got one?
No, I would buy one.
Oh, you buy one.
I'd take out a small loan for that book. Big Tim Drake.
Yeah, $850, 12 blue labels, 0 gold labels on that book from 1990. So again, it's 30 years old at this point. I don't know that you're going to find one.
Yeah.
The next one I remember. This one I remember like it was yesterday.
Same.
So when Jim Lee was announced to do Batman back in 2002, 18 years ago, my goodness, Alec, 18 years. Can you imagine?
I can.
That was monster.
Huge
Monster
book.
News.
Yes.
Monster news. That was like when Todd was doing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Jim Lee doing Batman was monster.
Yep.
And that first art with Batman swinging is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, later on, Jim was doing Superman, and he did this iconic Superman pose. And the second print of Batman 608 had this iconic Batman pose where they made bookends. They made all sorts of products out of these 2 images. The Superman was on the cover of 204, the first print.
Yep.
But the Batman was on the second print.
Yep.
If I recall, my memory serves me. Now, it is a long time, so you have to forgive me. The second print didn't really take off until the Superman book came out and people realized they were companion pieces.
Yep.
And that if you had one, you needed the other.
Yep.
And years later, when we did Comic-Con box, if you remember, we had Patrick Gleason do the Batman Superman homage covers.
Yeah.
And that's what people always did, is whenever they made the bookends or the this, that, they used the Superman 204, but they used the Batman 608 second print cover.
Yeah.
And that's why that cover is so expensive, even though the pop is not that low. There's 366 blue label 9.8s. There were 211 gold label 9.8s, probably all signed by Jim. Jim signed a lot.
Yeah.
And those are still $500.
Wow.
And everybody ordered that book. Even the second print, they ordered the book.
Oh, yeah, they ordered a ton. They knew
it was Jim Lee. Everybody knew at the time, not short printed. That's why I'm surprised it's still $500. Maybe because it's 18 years old.
Yeah.
But not a short print book. They printed a lot of copies. Everyone knew Jim Lee, Batman. You got to have copies of the book. Yep. That was a book that everybody had to have back then. Nobody missed that one. All right, cool. Next one, Daredevil 610, the second print, 9.8. First appearance of Vigil. Mm-hmm. It just seems to be very, very scarce. There are only 12 blue labels, 0 gold labels. That book sells for between $450, $500. Talk about Vigil a little bit and why that book is $450 to $500, Alex.
So yeah, I mean, this character, Vigil, who, spoiler alerts, Daredevil, a fever dream character. I mean, it was a pretty big deal at the time. Charles Soule was writing Daredevil. The Phil Noto art is just amazing on these covers. And this is another one that was like, oh, everybody's reading Daredevil, and then this character came out and it flew off the shelf. First appearance of this character, and they had to go to second print. And by the time they went to second print, people weren't ordering them a lot. But I mean, this is somebody that we may never see again. Who knows?
Right. I don't know. It just, for some reason, that book went crazy, and I remember that. For some reason, that book sticks in my mind. I've seen it. I don't know why. I mean,
the cover of the second print cover of the full character is beautiful.
Yeah. Now, the next book is a book that comes up all the time in conversations. I don't know why. Robin #1 from 1991. Now, let me tell you, they printed a lot of copies of the regular.
Super amount. Yes.
They printed a lot of copies of the regular book. However, the newsstand second print is rare. It reminds me of like the SpiderMan Gold UPC, where they printed like millions of copies of the first one, but the UPC one was only at Walmart and you can't find it.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with this Robin #1 newsstand. The last one that we saw, there's basically no 9.8s. The last 9.4 is up for sale. The book will sell for anywhere from $2,500 plus if you could find one in a high CGC grade. Again, it's a very popular book, very popular title. They printed millions of copies of it, but boy, oh boy, you just can't find that newsstand second print, Alex.
I think this is one of those things where a publisher, Death of Superman, they knew they were going to sell a lot, so they already had ideas for second, third, fourth prints. That's why you saw high print numbers in those subsequent printings. I think here is they printed a lot of books, the first printing. A lot of retailers ordered a lot, but by the time they were soliciting the second printing, nobody needed any, so they didn't print many. And that's why you're not going to find these. I mean, nobody needed them. I mean, you could buy cases of Robin #1 on eBay, still sealed, probably for $50. I mean, it's not gonna get you a lot of money. So, I mean, if those are still available, second prints, you just can't find those.
That's true. That's a good theory. Good theory. The next one is from 1996, Sandman #75, 2 blue labels, 0 gold label, 9.8s. The one that's for sale is at $2,000. What happened in Sandman 75, Alex, that they went to a second printing?
I mean, it's the last issue in the series. I mean, it's we've talked about this with Star Wars. The last issues are not printed very high at all. But people picked these up and they were buying them, so they had to go to a second print. But again, Sandman isn't Superman. So you're looking at, a very niche amount of people in the comic book industry buying these. And the ones that needed a second print couldn't have been as many as that one, the first print. So they're very tough to find.
And listen, it was a Neil Gaiman series. That book was plenty ordered. Yeah. And maybe they didn't order a lot of the second prints.
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay. So here's a good one. This one was from New York Comic Con last year. And there's all kinds of versions of these. So we'll just tackle the most important ones on Spawn 300.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing the stories from friends that were at New York Comic Con that the lines were hours long.
That's just to get into the building. That has nothing to do with the Spawn. That's just trying to get through security, put your staff in a bin to get your backpack checked. Yeah.
There were fights breaking out. There were scuffles. No, I'm just kidding. But there was a craziness to try to get these. Yeah, tough to find these Spawn 300s. They were like, boom, instant. Yeah. Instant. So The gold foil variant was limited to only 500 copies. There are 58 blue label 9/8 and 77 gold label 9/8 because Todd was there signing.
Yeah.
That was it. He was selling them and he was signing them right there. So it was actually, the timing was good on it, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to like take the book and then go to another show.
Just walk right over to CGC as soon as it gets signed. Yeah.
Right. They had witnesses there. And the silver foil variant, there were 1,500 copies printed. And there are 141 blue label 9.8s and 126 gold label 9.8s. Now think about this. Out of 500 copies on the gold foil, there are 130 of them are 9.8, one or the other. That's like a fifth of the print run, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that doesn't even include the other grades.
Yeah.
So basically, almost everyone who got the book decided to go get it graded or signed and graded.
Yeah, correct.
Right? I mean, you don't see percentages like that at all.
No.
And then on the silver one, you know, you've got almost 300 copies signed and graded just in 9/8 out of the 1,500. So it's a very, very high percentage. Doesn't matter. People still want them.
Yep.
So the gold ones sell for $900, Alex. The silver ones sell for $200. So also they came out with a second print of Spawn number 300, which maybe everyone had their fill. Maybe everyone, like, I think it was one of those scenarios where it was like everyone ordered it, everyone knew it. It was the homage cover to the Spider-Man 300. Everybody was looking for it. The second prints only have 13 blue label 9.8s, 9 gold label 9.8s. You can't find them. There's no value that you can assign to them today. If you find one, pick it up, get it graded out there, because you can't find these books. They don't exist. I think it was one of those scenarios, like you said, is I think everyone, you bought the gold, you bought this.
Print. Yeah.
Yeah. Stores did not under order Spawn 300.
Spawn 300 was such a milestone for the independent comic community that people that hadn't read Spawn, I don't know what the numbers are on 289, but the people buying Spawn every issue, multiply that by 10, and that's how many people were buying 300. People were just buying.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. And then these limited edition versions just blew out as soon as you got it. Okay. The next one was an interesting one. You could talk about it a little bit. Superman number 82 from 1993. So you're already 27 years old already on that book. Raw versions of that book are $70. 9.8s, there's only 2 blue label 9.8s, 0 gold label 9.8s. Last one I've seen was $1,000. Maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't. But what is that book, Alex? Superman 82.
It's the Return of Superman.
Obviously. Oh, that's right.
Right. I mean, we've talked about it so much about the death of Superman, but obviously he came back, and it wasn't, you know, you're talking about 6-7 issues later. This was a big book for the future of the Superman comics. Long hair Superman, Mongol, all the cyborg Superman. I mean, all that storyline was coming to a close. And then, after you have the Black Bag, the Poly Bags, all the Death of Superman stuff, this is the next one, or people were finishing that series and that run.
Right. It was only 7 issues later. And again, those books were not under order. They printed a lot of those books. So you're right. Maybe people just didn't need the second print. They never ordered them. And that's why they're impossible to find. We've talked about that with Superman 75 when we got to the 3rd and the 4th prints. People just didn't really need them anymore.
Yeah. And it's, a lot of times second prints aren't going to your grocery store or newsstand. They're going to direct markets. And 93, there was a lot of stores, but they had also stocked up on the first print. So again, they probably didn't order a lot of the second prints.
Right. The next one is a book that we worked on from Portland. And it was a Walking Dead variant cover.
Oh, yeah.
By Michael Golden. It was a great cover.
Yeah.
And you're going to laugh. We had to order the books far in advance before the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the show we gave them away with pre-sales tickets.
Yeah.
We sold way more tickets than we thought we were going to sell.
That's
and we couldn't. And we
That's
ran
a good
out of
problem.
books.
That's a
and
good
we
problem.
ran out of books.
Yeah.
But we only ran out of books by a couple of thousand. So we told everybody we're going to take down your name and we're going to mail you a copy. When we told Skybound that we had run out of copies, we needed new copies. There was, I don't want to call it a printing error on the first book, but when they had the logo on the cover, when they didn't have a Photoshop invisible background, so they put a white background behind the logo, and it looks kind of aesthetically funny. Mm-hmm. On the second print, when they printed back, they took off the white background and they made it a transparent background. Mm-hmm. And in the indicia, called it a second print.
Yeah.
slightly different color logo too. So they took something that was really, we never thought they were going to change.
Right.
I don't even think we noticed it.
Yeah.
Because they sent us a bunch of copies, a very small number we printed on the second print. I can't even remember what it was. They were mailed out individually. We ordered just what we needed.
Yeah.
They were mailed out individually, one at a time. And that's it. Now, also, you know how the USPS, sometimes they could fold it or bend it or whatever. You may not have gotten a Gen Mint 9.8. Getting 9.8 copies, you know, we sent them in the sturdy envelopes, but you may not have gotten a perfect one.
Yeah.
And the print run was very, very, very low on the second print book of that.
Yeah.
So the first print, we printed, I don't know, 15, 20,000 that we gave out to everybody. Not particularly rare, not particularly expensive. The second print one was a mail away only. Yeah. And we only printed, I think, what we needed. So that, you were at that show, right? Portland?
I was not. I was not at that one.
Oh, that was pre-Alex.
PA, yeah. Pre-Alex.
Yeah. I was very sad at that show. That was probably.
I'm sure that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
I was very depressed at that show. That book has 40 blue label 9.8s, 6 gold label 9.8s, because obviously people must have met Golden. Michael does a lot of shows. So
he was doing a lot of shows.
Yeah, they met Michael at a future show. There are actually 2 9.9s and 1 10.0.
Whoa! I can't imagine how much that 10.0 is going to be.
I know, right? And so the 9.8s sell for about $350. I don't know if people realize how rare that book is. And it's not just the rarity, as we've talked about, is sometimes it's the distribution.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is the gold UPC SpiderMan super, super rare? No, they printed a decent amount, but they were at Walmart's on spinner racks, which means they all got mangled.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're sending out individual copies in a mailer through the mail, and you can't order them from comic shops, you can't buy them online, you can't buy them from Midtown, you can't buy them anywhere, that distribution method of one at a time, like the Platinum Spideys, that is going to cause a rarity.
Yeah.
And if you remember, 75 or 80% of the people come from the local market, which means that if you live anywhere but Portland, the odds of finding one is going to be almost impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to your local Portland shop and maybe someone sold it back to them.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, there were people on the floor offering, oh, that was only for the first prints. You're right. The second prints, they couldn't do that for sure.
Exactly.
Okay. The next one, Venom, first host number 3 from 2018, first sleeper symbiote. There are 96 blue labels, 5 gold label 9.8s. That book sells for $500. Alex, talk to me about the first sleeper symbiote. What is that?
I mean, I think you can kind of see you can see where we're going. You can see where this is, how we're talking about this and what it is. Venom is a very, very popular character. Oddly enough, ongoings didn't support him, but miniseries really, really do well. They never. I think again happens all the time. Miniseries, they don't print as many as they think. They sell out and they start going back to second prints, especially in something like this where you're at issue 3. Ones are the big order in numbers. This is a new character, someone that's going to be in maybe in the new movie. We don't know how many Venom symbiote characters are going to be around, but there's speculation that goes into it. It's a new character. It's a new symbiote character. There's again with the being a second print. It's not very highly printed. It just keeps going back to that. It's Venom,
right? Second
printings, new art, sells out.
Time of the show, I'm going to give you your. This is all we can afford. I'll take a break.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex's pick of the week.
So fun stuff going on in my terrible eBay bidding wars. I didn't think I'd win it, but I won a vintage Pee-wee's Playhouse playset.
Your greenness, the Earthlings are much more advanced than we imagined. They have chairs that talk. Windows that speak. Globes that teach.
She's got lots to learn.
Birds that talk.
Come play with me.
Flowers that dance and screens that walk. And their leader, boy, can he dress.
Pee-wee's Playhouse playset. Each character sold separately from Matchbox.
That's my pick of the week. I'm a huge 90s baby, late 80s baby, and chasing the stuff that I couldn't afford when I was a kid is now my ultimate goal. So I got the Pee-wee's Playhouse Adventure box set. It's a fold-up play set, and it's his house, and it came with all his figures and everything. It's pretty amazing.
Of all the stuff out there, what was it about Pee-wee's Playhouse?
I mean, it was as a young child with ADD. I think that was one of the best shows for me because it was constantly changing, constantly new things, cartoons, quick and easy. I don't know. I mean, I grew up with Pee-wee. I mean, my dad enjoyed watching it with me. I think that always helps when like your parents are interested in something that you're also interested as a kid. It makes you feel adult, or oh, it's not just a kid's thing. Like, so that could be it. But yeah, always chasing your childhood. That's what I've been doing.
I will tell you, the show that I watched when I was younger, the cartoon that I loved, aside from the Super Friends and that stuff when I was really, really little, I loved Beavis and Butthead.
What?
Oh, no.
This sucks.
Oh, of course.
And when they announced that they're bringing Beavis and Butthead back, oh my goodness. Yeah.
Everybody likes to relive their happy childhoods.
I don't know what it is about Beavis and Butthead that just struck the right chord. I'm a little nervous that the zeitgeist in the world is a little different today.
Mm-hmm.
That does Beavis and Butthead play as well today as it did, 20 years ago? Because you have these fond memories and you really don't want them to blow it, right?
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful about
We'll
that.
see.
But okay. So have you had fun with your Playhouse yet, Pat?
I have. I've played with it. I've looked at it, and then I've put it back in its box, and now it'll sit on a shelf. But now that I own it, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Okay, great, Alex. I'm glad you get to relive your childhood. All right, Alex. I think that is it for today.
Okay.
And so we will see you next week.
That's it.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.